Hey everyone, Justin Holland here with the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. Got a great show for y'all today, everybody. I cannot wait to dive into the partner and nonprofit that we've got that's going to talk about some really cool stuff on what they're doing here for San Antonio. As always, I like to do some housekeeping when we kick off the show. It's the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance, and I talk about everything insurance most of the time. We're probably going to spend most of the show talking about our nonprofit, though, today. But we talk about insurance typically on Medicare as it relates to Affordable Care Act plans, individual coverage, legislation that's going on that's driving costs up. I was just talking to my guest about what we see on the employee benefits side and increases and all that craziness. So if you got a business that needs some help on the health insurance side of the industry, we'd love to help you. And if it's pertaining to Medicare, individual health, employee benefits, we do it all. So hopefully we can help you out there. Texas State Insurance Services is our agency and brokerage for that. The phone number for them is 210-880-5316, or you can visit us online at txstateinsurance.com, and we'd love to help you out. And Lydia or Erica in the office will more than likely take the call, and we can get dialed in and see how we can help. I have my hand on every application, by the way, so there's a good chance you'll talk to me, and we'll help kind of size up your situation. Not only do we have Texas State Insurance Services, we've got Palmetto Life Group. That is an agency division that I created specifically for life insurance, long-term care insurance, retirements. I'm a registered Social Security analyst, and we have that designation under our brokerage. A lot of people just don't know where to begin on Social Security. We help you size that up very quickly with some great software that we've got. And then I always like to remind everybody we are doing auto, home, and commercial lines of business, or if you need an umbrella policy, we'd love to help you out with any of those insurance needs as well through Palmetto Life Group. That phone number for Palmetto is 877-357-5316. Or as always, you can visit that website at palmettolifegroup.com. I have 4 locations in San Antonio that we can meet clients at to try to make it as convenient as possible, as well as one in McAllen servicing the Rio Grande Valley. Just in case you're listening to the show and happen to be from down there, we'd love to help you out as well. One more thing I want to dive into or remind everybody is if you're listening to the show, maybe you're only able to watch or listen to a little bit of the segment. We put this show on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel. So if you'd love to see prior shows from the past year, we've got those on there and clips. But the YouTube is youtube.com/at madinsuranceshow.com. And I'm slowly but surely building up my followers there. It takes some time, but would love to get some love from everybody if you're able to like and follow and share our YouTube channel in conjunction with what we're doing here on KTSA 550 for the evening show on Saturday afternoons. So I got my housekeeping out of the way. So thanks for putting up with that, everybody. I would like to introduce Blair Ortmann. She's VP of Mission and Advancement over at CASA, Child Advocate San Antonio. Blair and I were able to kind of visit and size each other up, for the interview and review here, and learned a lot just prior to doing this show. They're doing some really cool stuff. I'm so excited that we're going to bring up what they're doing here at a local level and taking care of these kids, that just didn't get a shot. So this might resonate with you, and we'd love to see how you can help us. And we just want to make sure we get some awareness out there. Blair, thank you so much for joining us today on the show to talk about CASA.
I'm so excited to be here, Justin. I think this is going to be a great conversation.
I think so too. As always, I've got a list of questions, a litany of questions that I'll want to review. Before we dive into CASA, you and I spoke a little bit about your background, but I think it's good for the audience to just kind of know Blair Ortmann. Where you're from, what the industries you were at prior, where you might have worked. Can you give the audience some insight on that?
Sure. So I started out actually in newspaper journalism, and I think my goal there really was that I wanted to be in the places that not everybody can be. on a daily basis and bring the information that I was able to gather back to people so that they could make good decisions and understand what was happening in their communities. I ended up marrying my husband, who's from south of San Antonio, in 2008 and ended up in Beaumont. And while I was there, I met a wonderful, amazing, generous, and caring woman named Regina Rogers, who has founded several nonprofits,
You were
including the
mentioning that,
Julia
yeah.
Rogers Gift of Life, that works on cancer screenings and awareness. And I ended up going to work for her as a writer,
Yeah.
and working on all these multiple nonprofits that she'd founded. And I just learned so much from her about the relationships and the caring and what it takes to truly make a difference and truly care about your neighbors and other people in the world. She was always and is always, she's still there, looking for ways to help and to be there for people. Um, and that's just beautiful. You don't
Yeah.
meet many people who have that spirit of care and joy in the caring in your life. So we were there for a couple of years. We ended up in San Antonio to get back closer to family.
Yeah.
And I worked for Sam Ministries for 7 years, working with families who find themselves without a home for whatever reason, and individuals, kiddos. And from there, ended up working here at Child Advocates San Antonio for the last 7 years. It's been such a blessing, in my life to be the person who is able to talk with people who want to help and say, "You know what? We've got opportunities for that. We've got ways that you're able to help." I have a deep set belief that most people want to help in some way, shape, or form. Whether their passion is the animals in their lives, whether their passion is kids, whether it's education, whatever that may be, people want to help. And I get to be the person who says, "You know what? There's ways. How can I
Yeah.
help you find the way in which you want to help?" And look at what we can do together. At CASA, we get to help kids and families, kids who are in these situations through no fault of their own, who have had some terrible things happen to them in their lives. Um, and we get to be a part of inspiring them to trust again, helping them to heal. Um, and really, at the end of the day, seeing these kids come out of that really dark time of their lives to be joyful again, to be kids, to be able to just play.
The Making a Difference, the Mad Insurance Show, I'm so excited that we have these nonprofit, segments because you and I were talking a minute ago, we can sit here and complain about, little stuff, petty stuff that's going on in our lives, and there's some serious stuff going on out there, and, I think there's no better way than giving back, whether that's donating time, money, intellect, whatever it is, and, the reward you get back personally when you get down in the trenches with some individuals, whether it be children or seniors or these families like we were doing prior with losing their homes. Um, that's one thing that I love that we're getting across every week with a nonprofit on the show, and you're seeing that from where you were at prior as well. Thank you for sharing a little background there. I do want to talk about the designation that you got. I just asked you a minute ago before we kicked off the show, CFRE, and it's a Certified Fundraising Executive. It's a pretty cool acronym. I got one RSSA. I don't think it's as good as yours with what you're doing. Can you talk about what it takes to get that? What it
Yeah.
just the dynamics of that designation for your industry?
Yeah, the CFRE is a global certification for fundraisers. And what it says is that we've done the work to learn the industry, the educational piece of it, um, and as well as volunteer work. We've raised the money that that invests in the in the various types of nonprofits that are out there.
Yeah.
And we've done it in ways that are ethical,
Okay.
so that people can trust us, and really working to elevate fundraising as a profession, not just as your not that there's anything wrong with this, but we don't just do taco sales and
Yeah.
plate sales on the side of the road. We do it this in a different way that, you know that if, a nonprofit has, a CFRE on their staff, that they have these ethical standards and that they have a high level of learning involved. There's about, 8,200 globally,
Okay.
individuals who have this designation.
That the fact that you have that designation just strengthens obviously the organization that you're helping out there. Obviously, I mean, it's a process. You can't just, hey, here's a donation, figure it out. No, you've got
Right.
to have infrastructure in place. We were talking,
Absolutely.
and we'll talk about it a little later too. Is y'all's location? In the office that I cannot wait to do a tour on as well. Let's talk about you know, what brought you specifically over to CASA, if you can talk about that, and really your role as the VP of mission advancement and actually what that day to day looks like. Can we dive into that?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I was at Sam Ministries. We worked with children and families. They have the amazing Transitional Living and Learning Center that works with families who don't currently have a home and are working to get back into a home. And oftentimes in that arena, we saw families moving into that center. And this was the last step that the family needed to get their children back, from the foster care system. So there had been a crisis in this family's life. The children had been removed, due to neglect or abuse situation, and the parents had done the work to recreate a safe home for these kids,
Yeah.
and the judge and the team around the kids have agreed that it was the right thing to have these children reunified with the parents. And so seeing it from that side, um, was very joyful because you get to see the work that's still ongoing now to reintegrate this family unit together, and the hard work that these parents do to to honestly acknowledge that something has gone wrong in the past,
Yeah.
and how are they going to fix it so that these kids are safe and well taken care of in the future. And that was such a blessing. And so when I got this call about Child Advocates San Antonio and learned more about what they do, I went, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Um, my personal story is one of there but for the grace of God go I when it comes to these things.
Yeah.
I lost my daddy when I was 6 years old.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, so my mom is a wonderful, amazing person who really worked her butt off to ensure that
To
we
step up.
stayed in our home. And she got her master's degree when I was in high school,
Wow.
in the midst of all this. And so there were situations in my life that if things had gone slightly different, if we hadn't had the support systems from different family members that we had, if we hadn't had friends and the church at some point, and just these different things that we were blessed to have in our lives, it could have been different.
Hmm.
I see all those kind of turning points where this could have happened or this could have happened, but it didn't. And if any of those things had happened, then my family could have ended up homeless. My family could have ended up where we were separated, and it didn't. And so I look at that and think, I haven't been in these situations exactly because we were able to hold it together as a
Yeah.
family.
You saw that in the trenches.
But you also see in those situations, and folks who are listening who grew up in a single parent household will 100% understand this. Kids in that situation grow up fast because there is only one adult in the household. So when there's a lot more responsibility that you have to take on at an earlier age. Um, we call it a lot of times parentification in the
Parentification.
industry. We
I'm
see it
gonna
a
steal that.
lot. Well, we see it a lot with our children who are in foster care. A child, often the oldest, but not always, of a family will take on the parent role
Okay.
strongly for their younger siblings and even their parents. So oftentimes in those situations, parents are doing so much, but then there can be emotional burdens that they're putting on their children that is not really not the best for the child.
Yeah.
Um, and so at CASA, when I learned so much more about this and how we're helping these kids are completely innocent. They have not done anything to put themselves in this situation. They're not the ones who've made the decisions that have led to whatever the situation was
That
that they
they're
were
in.
removed because of. Um, we've seen some horrific abuse cases.
Oh, I'm
When
sure.
you
I can't
see the
imagine.
stories that are in the news, oftentimes those are children that end up with a CASA advocate.
You
Um,
get to see both aspects. You get to see the really good side of
mhm,
humanity, but you also get to see that
yes,
sewage that's
yeah,
out there as well. So I can't imagine, Blair,
yeah.
on that.
We've also seen families who abuse was being perpetrated by one adult of the household,
Mhm.
and it was really more of a domestic violence situation. The
Yeah.
children were removed for their own safety, and once this domestic violence situation was resolved by separation or whatever has happened here, the children can go back. And the thing that you learn in this industry at the end of the day is that the kids always want their parents.
Yeah.
That is their normal. These are the people that they love. So if we can do the work and provide the services and the help needed so that parents can provide a safe home for their kids, that is the best thing for these children in most cases. Now, in a lot of cases, maybe that's not safe and they need a different safety plan. Maybe we can bring kinship into it. Maybe we
Mhm.
can bring grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, older brother and sister sometimes who
Yeah.
are already adults, or even next door neighbor who is like the second mom,
Got it.
right? I know I had one of those. We were at their house as much as we were at our house. Um, but bringing back that familiarity, the support system that maybe was already there, but in a stronger way, so that the kids can go back to some semblance of their normal in their same neighborhood, in their same culture, in their same family.
I can see why that drew you over to what they were doing from where you're at to take on the role that you're in. Now, have
Yeah.
you always been in that role for the past 7 years within the organization?
Yes.
Okay, so that's been
Yes.
where you're at. For the listeners that may not know CASA, I mean, this is the first time they've heard about it. Let's explain, what you do, and let's go dive into it like an example. The court-appointed special advocate. What does a child in foster care or the court see? Or why do they need one? And you and I were talking about a video that I saw online, kind of discussed that a little bit. Um, I love it that y'all are the organization, whoever donates the time, is next to these children and helping be an advocate and fighting for them and giving them some backup, so to speak. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
So a CASA advocate, a court appointed special advocate, is a volunteer from the community who we train and support to be the person that a child can trust, that a child can turn to. The advocate goes into this case. They first and foremost get to know that child and the family. They get to know all the other people who are surrounding the child. Um, they get to know teachers, doctors, therapists, like I said, next door neighbors, possibly,
Mhm.
aunts and uncles, all of
Yeah.
those folks, as well as the caseworkers. And then they get to know all the systems that the child's involved in as well. Again, the education system. Are they getting the supports that they need there? We have kids who enter foster care having never attended school a day in their life, and they're
Really?
elementary age. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
We have kids who enter foster care, and the advocate goes to school and says, "Why is this child in ESL classes when their first language is English?" And it's just this is not necessarily I'm not shaking my finger at schools. They're doing really hard
It
work.
gets missed.
It's just things that get missed, and they don't know. As a child in the foster care system, a child who is in foster care is moved multiple times a year. On average,
Is
2
that
to
just
3.
2 to 3?
Yeah,
That's just a
sometimes it
given.
yeah, pretty much. And part of that has to do with there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
We don't have enough placements here in San Antonio for foster children, but what that means is then now they're moving a school every few years. Um, they're coming in anytime you've moved or if you had to change schools as a kid, you'll know that's hard, especially mid-year. It's one thing at the beginning of the year, maybe people have known each other from year to year, but maybe not. And
Yeah.
you can but mid year, you come in suddenly and you're the new kid and you don't know exactly where they are in any of the curriculum. And maybe you don't feel like you can raise your hand and ask questions.
Blair, I took
And
that for granted, just,
yeah,
hey, I was consistent in my school, we never really moved. You're making me really, I mean, go back to my elementary and kindergarten days on when kids would just kind of show up mid-year in these, who knows if that was the situation then.
right. And some of these kids have already, this may be their third, fourth school. So they may have already given up. And so now the
Yeah.
teacher sees a child and the classmates see a child who is disengaged, who isn't trying. They need help. They need services, but they may not be seen that. They may instead be labeled a troublemaker. So they need an adult to come in and have the meeting with the teacher and represent for that child and make sure that they know what's going
And they're
on.
getting profiled by people that just don't know the story, and
Exactly.
vice versa. You
Right.
just you just
And
don't
because of
know.
confidentiality, people shouldn't know the full
Yeah, no, I
story,
agree.
right? We have to protect these children. But if we can go in as an advocate, can go in and sit down with teachers and administrators and say, hey, this child needs support in reading. This child needs support in this and that. How can we work together to make that happen? That's huge. They
That's
can also
yeah.
go talk to doctors. They have a court appointed means that a judge actually appoints CASA to the child's court case. When a child is removed from home, that opens a court case so that a judge can oversee this. And the first thing they say is, okay, tell me why this child was removed. There's an affidavit that is put in by the CPS investigations unit
Okay.
to the judge, and the judge says, yes, they were removed with cause. This meets the legal reasonings for why a child would be removed.
Okay.
And at that 262 hearing, they also appoint a CASA advocate to the case. And so we're able then to access all the court documents, and that gives us the legal authority to talk to the schools, to talk to the doctors, all of these things. So a CASA advocate now is able to truly make a difference because they go in, they gather all this information, and they bring it back to the judge in the form of a court report.
Mhm.
And in that court report, they say, yeah, here's how little Justin is doing in school. Here's how he's settled into this foster home with his sibling, and they're doing well there. We're really following this medical issue that wasn't maybe taken care of previously. So we have some doctor's appointments that we know are set up, and we'll be following that. And little Justin, in the bottom section, we put a wishes for the child to make sure that the child voice truly gets heard. Little Justin really, really, really wants to go home and be with his mom. Now, is that the best thing for
Yeah.
little Justin? Maybe, maybe not. But the
You're
fact that the
taking every aspect
child,
of that
yes,
situation.
but the child's voice still gets to be heard.
Yeah.
Um,
That something popped in my head when we were talking about the
yeah.
court. Is there multiple courts around San Antonio, or is there just one specific court where all this stuff gets dumped on? Does that make sense?
So Bexar County is unique. We have an actual children's court that Judge John Specia and with Judge Peter
Yeah,
Sakai,
Sakai, that's right, I saw
they set up this children's court years ago, and it is a very specific court that works with these
how
cases.
cool is that?
So we have 3 wonderful judges, currently who see most of our cases. We also sometimes work with other courts, for different reasons, depending on what the case looks like.
Okay.
Um, So, yes. So we have
No, I'm
specific
glad I asked
courts.
that because I
Yeah.
mean, the fact that we've got that in Bexar County helps. I mean,
Yes.
you just mentioned, hey, we already got an issue of not having enough foster, in that at least we at least we're
Yeah.
stacking the deck in the court system to be able to
Yes.
help process
Our
it and
our
navigate
judges
it.
truly understand the system, the issues inherent in it, and they really care. They've got such big hearts for these kids.
Let's, you know what? Before I dive into my next question, I
Yeah.
just want to let everybody know you're listening to the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. We are not talking insurance right now. We're talking nonprofit. Our nonprofit guest is CASA, Child Advocate San Antonio. I've got Blair Ortmann, VP over there on the outreach, and we are diving in to the organization and really liking what we're hearing. Think we got more that we're going to talk about and dive into. But just if you're scooting around San Antonio, watching us online, remember that YouTube channel. If you want to pick up the entire show, you got to get off out of the car and you don't want to miss anything. Go to youtube.com/ at Mad Insurance Show, and we'll have some details about the organization on what we're talking about with Blair for CASA. But just a little show identification that I want to remind everybody about. And we're so glad you're listening to us. And let's keep on diving into the questions I got for you. I think this is a good one. Walk us through what happens the moment a child's assigned to CASA. The aspect of the
Yeah.
volunteer to the moment that the case closes. Um, I think we've talked a little bit of that journey a little bit, but let's kind of timeline it. If you can just give us an idea of, hey, this is the intake, this is what we hope to get at the end of that.
Yeah. So once a volunteer goes through the training, which is about a 36-hour training that they
Okay.
have to attend in order to learn all the things that you need to know about,
Yeah.
um, they then go to their get assigned an advocate supervisor, which is a staff member of CASA, who honestly they're experts.
Okay.
I can't say enough about our team because many of them before coming to CASA they worked within the system. They truly understand all the nuances of what happens within the child welfare system, the services that are available, how what these kids need to start to heal, right, on this
Yeah.
journey. So they get assigned to their supervisor, and then with their supervisor, they go through some cases, and they we get to help them find the right case. So for instance, if you come in and you've been in a retired teacher, for instance, and maybe you really understand the education system, and we have a group of kids, as I mentioned earlier, who maybe haven't been in school before,
Yeah.
they're going to need some extra help on the education front. We know that.
That
So,
background will be
so
critical in that.
maybe that background would be really
Okay.
helpful. Now, not to say that you have to have any background, but we'll get to that later.
Got it.
But, so a case is chosen, and assigned to the advocate, and the advocate usually goes first thing to meet the children,
Okay.
and they read up on the case. They read up on why the children are in care, what caused the removal, what's going on there, where they are currently placed, all of that. So they go and meet the children. They are required to meet with the kids face to face, about once a month.
Okay.
Um, but honestly, what happens is that they end up meeting the kids more often than that because they're kids and they're lovely and they're fun and you just kind of in a way fall in love with them, right? And you want to be there with them and hang out with them and have fun. Um but then they get into the, oh, you know what? I just talked to the teachers and found out that maybe the teacher suggested maybe we should get their eyes checked because they're noticing signs that that could be an issue,
Yeah.
and so they go get their eyes checked. The advocate may make the appointment, may help make the appointment. They may take them to appointment or have the foster family take them to the appointment. They're going to follow up on it regardless and make sure that it's happened,
Okay.
and that the child, if they did need glasses, or has the glasses. We had a case last year where a child did need glasses. The appointment was done, the glasses were ordered, and then the child moved, and the glasses were never picked up. So this situation of them not being able to, see the whiteboard in school was continuing, even though it kind of been documented as like they've gone to the eye doctor,
Yeah.
they've gotten glasses. So the advocate had to go back, find the last foster family, figure out where the glasses were, pick up the glasses, and get them delivered to the child. So sometimes it's those little things that can fall through the cracks, but they're not little. In reality, that's a big thing.
I'm blind as a bat if I don't have my glasses on. I mean,
Same,
or my glasses
obviously.
or my contacts. And I will never forget that moment when, and it wasn't really in elementary. I think it was
Yeah.
more high school when I was like, okay, I gotta get some glasses. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, so the leaves have lines on them actually. I mean, stuff
Yes.
like that, which was
Yeah.
crazy. But that's the little stuff, that you're
Right.
bringing up that can make a huge impact
It's the little
for
things
these
that
kids.
make or break it in so many times, especially in school.
So you'll have advocates that could be to have that background to come in
Mhm.
and help out with the kids. Another question that we'll dive into, or did you want to
Oh,
expand on that?
after just wanted to kind of close
You're
the
right
loop
on
on
how
this.
that.
They after they've done all that work, they submit that court report. Our judges, again, I can't say enough about our wonderful judges here in Bexar County. They read every word that our advocates write and send to them. They refer to it during the hearings, and they really do consider it closely when they're making their decisions. And if they have a question, they'll ask our CASA advocates to speak about it during the court hearing.
Okay, cool.
So throughout the case, there's a number of court hearings that the advocates write court reports for and are present for. And then at the end of the case, which can be anywhere between 12 to 18 months usually, they make a recommendation to the judge on the permanency of the child.
Okay.
And so we hope that and work towards every child finding safe permanency that is outside of the system.
I might have missed this, and you might have just said it again. So, how often are this checked in? Do you check into the court? Is it annually, quarterly? What are there check-ins there?
Oh man, this is like a pop quiz.
Sorry.
I apologies to my program staff if I get this wrong. I think it's normally every couple of months, so
Okay.
it's 3 to 4 court hearings throughout a case. Now, if something happens, there may be an additional hearing
Yeah.
set, but in a normal case, there's throughout that 12 to 18 months, right?
Another question: how many children are we talking right now? How many do you have in the hopper, so to speak?
In Bexar County, on any given day, there's around 2,200
2,000 kids.
kids. And this last year we served 1,100 ish.
Wow.
So
Is this increasing? Is it around that level, or is it
yeah,
or
we've been increasing the number of children a bit year over year that we're serving, and we are working towards getting to capacity to serve a 100% of children in Bexar County. Now that's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. It's going to take hopefully some of your listeners wanting to come volunteer with
yeah?
us.
I think we're going to be one of them.
Yeah,
So so you are at capacity, or you're closing in on that?
we're at about 50% of kids
Fifty
served
percent. Okay.
currently.
Okay. Cool. So
We've got a
we need
ways.
we need more help. Um, Challenges facing CASA today. Let's dive into to that. I wanted to talk about the recruiting, the retaining volunteers. Obviously that's the lifeblood of most
Yeah.
nonprofits out there. What does the challenge look like now, and what kinds of people make the best advocates? I'm curious about that.
So people with a heart for these kids make the best advocates.
Okay.
So we have advocates from all walks of life. We have advocates from all different backgrounds. We need you to be willing to commit to the duration of the court case because what we don't want is for a cause advocate to be another revolving person in a child's life,
That they might already had.
right? Um, we also need you to be able to pass a background check
Okay.
because, of course, we got to keep the kiddos safe. And have a driver's license so that you can transport the kids from one place to
Got it.
another. Active driver's license and an insurance, of course.
Yes.
So very important, right?
That is important when you're
We
driving.
are here.
There's a lot of people don't have it, but
Yeah.
yes, that's a prerequisite. I can see that. Okay, cool.
So
The
oh, and you have
have
to be at least 21. Sorry, I didn't say that part.
okay,
Our advocates have to be at least 21. That
at least
is,
21 off of that.
yeah.
Challenges. Let's you kind of give us a demographic. Hey, all walks of life for
Mhm.
advocacy and the what would be some challenges? Let's dive into that.
So, what we do every day is challenging, but from an agency standpoint, we have a couple of 3 major challenges. The first one is recruitment. We need more volunteers. We have about over 500 volunteers today. We need to double that in order to serve the children here in San Antonio. So
Yeah.
if folks listening, if you're at all interested in this, please take just a few minutes to check it out and see if it's the right opportunity for you because we need you.
Let's do a
Um,
little plug on the
yeah,
website CASA, was it dash satx.org.
correct.
That's the site, everybody. If you want to call in, the phone number, it looks like is 210-225-7070.
Yes.
We're in an internet age. I hate to interrupt Blair, but I thought we just at least, hey, get a plug,
Yes.
and we'll talk about the contact of CASA as well. But CASA-SATX.org. Take a look at that site and see and kind of snoop around and see what they're doing and reach out to them. Let's
Yes.
help them out.
And if you're interested, we have a section of the website called Volunteer, and there are various information sessions available. It's about an hour. They're on Zoom. There, we try to make them very accessible. You can sign up for one of those and really get all your questions answered and learn more about the
You've
opportunity.
got info sessions there on the site, to
Hmm.
to be able to engage. That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're liking what you're hearing on what Costa's doing with our conversation, go to that site for them, and go to the volunteer section and dive right in from
Absolutely.
there. Okay, cool.
So that recruitment is the big is a
The
big
big challenge.
focus. Um, And then our second big focus is once we have our volunteers there and trained and serving on a case, we want them to take a second case. So retaining our volunteers. This can be hard work. It can be emotional, but our volunteers say, "Yeah, it's hard and it's the best thing I've ever done." Um they tell us over and over again that they get more out of it than they put into it. Um, and many of our volunteers end up staying in touch with these kids for years afterwards, and they become a part of their lives. Um, and I think that that's so. It's a this is not a one day volunteer opportunity. This is a commitment, and it is something that will stick with you for a very long time.
You hit a point that resonated with me right now on the hardness. I've got one of my best friends, special needs adult child now, and sometimes you've got the means to be able to go through those challenges, and take on that stuff, and then there's families that do not, and he actually started a nonprofit because of that. um, it was eye-opening when he was telling me, he's like,
Yeah,
"You have no idea the emotional toll that these families get, and the fact that we're helping or CASA would help fill that gap is huge
yeah,
off of that because it's not just about the emotional aspect or the financial aspect. I mean, um, people have breaking points, and I'm sure y'all see that within the organization as well, and it's not for everybody, but the fulfillment on helping get that child
absolutely.
across the finish line, I'm sure.
Yes, and I don't wanna scare anybody because even though it is hard, we have your staff member will be there with you, side right by your side, just like you're by the side of that child, walking you straight through it, making sure you have everything that you need to serve that
Oh,
child.
I know we've got some people listening to the show that would love to dive into that and be up for the challenge to help these kiddos that just didn't get a fair shot in their situation that they've got. Funding a child advocacy organization. It's an emotional ask, but very specific operational need. How do you guys balance the grant funding, government support, individual
Yeah.
donors? You and I kind of talked about that a little bit before we kicked off the show, but I think that's important to bring up that that balance and how fragile that can be for any nonprofit that I have here on the show.
Yeah. We've got about 35% of our funding is government funding, and the rest of it is our private local dollars from our wonderful foundations, from caring corporations, and from individuals who want to make a difference. Maybe volunteering isn't right for them today, but they want to support. So we have a lot of folks who choose to do that by making a monthly gift,
Okay.
and a monthly gift can be what any amount that fits your budget. It doesn't have to be a particular amount, but what works for you works for us absolutely, because you're helping to ensure that one more child has that advocate in their life during what is honestly one of the roughest periods of their life. They need somebody to trust in this time, and that's what you're giving to this child when you support CASA financially and
And you've got
invest in
that
these
listed on
kids.
the site as well. You've got a donate tab. We talked about the volunteer tab. Just as a reminder, CASA satx.org. There's forward slash donate dash now. You can go to that. I'm sure the video will pick that up on our YouTube video that we post for the podcast. But you can absolutely, maybe you don't have the time right now to volunteer. You can donate. At
Absolutely.
you can donate that. At using that electronic device we've got. On everybody's hip, from the phone to your computer. So please, when you can, and 35% is the federal dollars,
Mhm.
and then everything else is picked up by the generous
Yep.
individuals here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, you There was something I want to make sure we get in for the show. There's a drive coming up. There's a let's talk
Yes.
about that real quick before I forget to do it. Just
Yeah. So when kids enter foster care, they often leave everything behind,
I didn't
and
think of that.
so one of the things that we try to do with our advocates is make sure that they're ready to go to school. So we actually have a shop at our campus that was recently renovated to ensure that advocates can bring the kids there and have fun and play, but also get some of the things that they
How cool is
need.
that?
And so one of the things that we're doing currently is our back to school drive. And we usually try to end up with supplies for 200 to 250 kids. And so that's what we're looking for right now. We do have on our website under the news and events tab, there is our Seeds for Success drive,
I see that here.
and that has our list. It's got our Amazon wish list on there if you wanna give in that way. If you want to give, a financial gift and just mark it to support
That
our
designated
back to
portion.
school, you can absolutely do
Okay.
that as well. So we try to make it easy. If you have a business and would like to be a drop-off location for
See that
us, you
here
can give
too.
us a call, and we can make that happen also. So we, again, wanna make it easy, but we wanna make sure that our kiddos have what they need
And that
to
initiative's
succeed.
going now till July 17th, it looks like, is what I've got it
Absolutely.
online. Okay.
And we will take donations after that. We just try to get them in early because, our advocates do need time to pick up the supplies and get them to the kids before school starts, and, school seems to start earlier than
Yeah.
ever every year, so
So we wanted to make sure we get everybody notified on the drive for CASA. And again, the website's dynamite. It's got all the details there that we can circumnavigate everything that you've got online. Everybody, you're listening to the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. I'm your host, Justin Holland. I've got guest host Blair Ortmann from CASA, Child Advocate San Antonio, and we've been discussing quite a bit of stuff regarding the organization, how you can contribute, what they're doing throughout the organization as well. I'm going to wrap up just with a handful more questions, and then we'll wrap up the show. Just as a reminder, the show's sponsored by Texas State Insurance Services and Palmetto Life Group. Texas State Insurance Services, individual health insurance, Medicare, employee benefits. Give us a call if you need any help on that segment of the industry. 210-880-5316. We actually are going to start doing some more workshops. I think we're going to kick those off again. Social security analysis. I've got a what the health presentation for employer groups to talk about all the craziness and the legislation in health insurance. Give us a call or visit us online at txstateinsurance.com. And then lastly, Palmetto Life Group, life insurance, long term care insurance, retirement, social security analysis as it relates to your retirement, and then auto, home, and commercial lines of business. That number is 877 357 5316, or you can visit us at palmettolifegroup.com. So, wanted to get in just a show identification. We typically talk everything insurance on the Mad Insurance Show, but we are really diving into the nonprofit with CASA, and I think we're going to wrap up the show with a few more questions, and then let everybody, all the listeners, get on with their weekend and whatever they're doing. 4th of July weekend. Actually, this Saturday's the 4th, so
Mhm.
our recording right now is going to hit the airwaves for the 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
So happy 4th of July, everybody! If you're listening to the show, we wrapped up a minute just talking about funding for the organization, foster care, the family court system. It's under severe stress right now, statewide. Probably, I wouldn't say just statewide, probably nationally. How does the systemic pressure affect the children advocates? What the advocates are serving, and maybe I hate to say what frustrates you, but is there anything in the system that, hey, we need to there needs to be some changes, or is it a well-oiled machine?
Well, we're actually going through the system is actually going through a lot of change right now
Is it
in Bexar County. So a few years ago, the state started moving to community-based care for the foster care system across the state, and it's different in different parts of the state. Has is in different stages of this, but we just moved into stage 2 in March, and what that means is that another nonprofit locally, SJRC Belong, has taken over the case management for the child welfare system in Bexar County. So they already served in that capacity for the counties surrounding Bexar,
okay?
which is so the counties surrounding Bexar and Bexar County are known as Region 8. And so they had already taken over the case management surrounding us. And now they've taken over for Bexar County. Um, and so it's a big change. And that organization took on a lot of new staff members in order to run these programs correctly and
Okay.
well. We have close relationships with them, as we do with many nonprofits here in town, and maintain close conversations and partnership with Belong to ensure that the kids' well-being is always at the forefront. Um, but like any major change of a major systemic change, there's always going to be teething problems,
Yeah.
right? It would be odd if there were not.
Be a
And
disruption.
so, yeah, it's only been what, March, April, May, 4 months since they took over. So some of that stuff is starting to kind of roll out,
Okay.
and we're starting to see that. But I think I think it gives a lot of hope because we know how much Belong cares. We know how much the leadership of that organization cares to get it right,
Okay.
and to do the right thing for these kids. So I think that it's different. It's a change that we have to navigate. And the most important thing at the end of the day is how do we cushion the children from the changes that are happening so that
Yes, they could see that disruption.
we, the adults in the system, can change all we want, but they shouldn't have to suffer from
Yeah,
that. And so, as advocates, I mean, that's kind of what we do all the time, right? Is work to cushion the children from the situations that they're in
that's a great point.
and stay focused on their well being. And so, we will continue to do that. We will continue to work closely with all of our system partners. Um, and I think the thing that gives me hope in all of this, is just the people and the hearts of the people that we know work towards the good of the kids.
We got a great community here in San Antonio.
We do.
I mean, I will second that off of what we've got. For the rest of the questions I've got three. Let me see. Let me analyze this. I want to see which one because we're closing on the end of the show. Let's dive into this one. What does it actually mean for a child's outcome to have CASA volunteer in their corner? Do you track that? What happens to the children who have advocates versus who don't? Are you able to say, "Hey, this program is working. We're seeing success here," versus
Yeah.
not having that advocate? Let's dive into that for a minute.
So I'm going to give you some statistics. We've done a couple of studies, independent studies, with a research agency that worked with us to kind of give us some numbers behind
That
our
data.
outcomes.
Okay.
Um, 91% of children in foster care last year that we served changed schools at least once. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Hmm.
Every time a child changes schools, an advocate is able, if they have an advocate, they're able to be there, go to the school, make sure they have services set up, make sure that they get what they need, right?
Okay.
That's a huge support for a child. 80 Over 85% of children who have an advocate are connected with the services that they need to support family separation. Family separation is a trauma. So these children have already suffered a trauma in whatever has happened to them that made them
Compound
be
that.
removed. And now they're suffering another trauma in the actual removal from their families. 41% of children are separated from their siblings within the foster care system. So not only have they lost their mom and
Almost
dad,
50%.
they've also lost that day to day contact with their siblings. And we were talking earlier before the show about how siblings often take on caretaker roles for younger siblings, and that can be really, again, it's another traumatic experience to be
Could be
separated.
their only friend they got. I mean,
Exactly. It's somebody who knows what they've gone through, right? If nothing else. So an advocate makes sure that they can stay connected with their siblings. I have an advocate who is taken on a family of 5 siblings.
wow.
Now
5.
he's amazing, and I don't want don't anybody get scared off by this because this is just one case. But uh, our amazing advocate, his name is Jim, and he will drive 250 miles round trip to pick up all these kids and make sure that they can see each other.
His name's Jim.
His name's Jim. Jim's
Shout out to
amazing.
Jim.
Yes, shout out
Thank
to
you, Jim,
Jim.
on what you're doing there.
But
I
he's
know
not
there's
the
more
only
Jims
one.
out there.
There are.
There absolutely are, and I know they're listening to this radio show on what we can do for CASA. We're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna bundle 2 questions together to wrap up the show here with Blair Ortmann with CASA Child Advocate San Antonio. Just a reminder, this is the Mad Insurance Show. We're doing a complete nonprofit segment here for CASA on this show, and we've been talking about some really cool stuff that they're doing for the community. Um, Now it's time for me just to kind of create a call to action for, let's talk about the employers in San Antonio that are listening to the show, the individuals that are listening to the show that want to step up and help contribute to CASA. What does becoming CASA volunteer look like? Do we just drive them to the site? Do we drive them to the number? Let's wrap up with that and button up the show on what they can do to get involved.
Okay. Employers, is there a way that you can support volunteerism amongst your employees? Can you support them committing to becoming a CASA advocate? That is huge. It is amazing. We would love to talk to you about what that looks like and what you would actually be committing to before you make that decision. Um, and employers, businesses can support our drives. They can give directly corporate financial gifts, really invest in the community. This is investment in our kids here in San Antonio. Um, Individuals, again, volunteer if you can. If that's not right for you right now, keep us in mind. Consider a sustainable monthly gift potentially as a way to support the kids here in San Antonio year round through ensuring that they have an advocate. If you want to volunteer, please go to our website. You need to be 21, be able to pass a background check, have a valid driver's license,
And insurance.
and insurance, and attend one of our information sessions. Go sign up for that information session. They happen about once a week. And the times are usually after work or at noon. So hopefully,
Yeah, 12 to 1 is what I'm seeing here and 6 to 7.
yeah, so
Yeah.
hopefully it's accessible for everyone, and we would love to see you there. Um, we just really encourage you to take the plunge, find out more, and do it because you can do it. It is possible. We've got the expert support to make sure that you are successful in this journey, and the kids really need you.
I could not agree with you more. This has been a great visit, and it went quickly on making sure we talk about CASA Child Advocate San Antonio. Blair Ortmann has joined us for the show. You gave us some great value to the listeners. I know there's listeners out there that want to get involved. We'll put everything we can on the website, our online postings. Everybody, it's the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. And we cannot thank you enough for listening to the show today. I'm your host, Justin Holland with Texas State Insurance Services and Palmetto Life Group. If you got any questions on the insurance front, hey, give us a call, 210-880-5316. But more than anything, we wanted to get the word out on CASA for this show, and I think we provided some great insight there. As a reminder, the website address is CASA, CASA, dash SATX.org, and it'll take you to the volunteers sections, the donate sections, the about. Everything's on that page. I think you'll be well informed. And then if you absolutely have to give them a call, 210-225-7070. Blair, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much, Justin, for having us.
San Antonio, have a great 4th of July weekend. We'll talk to y'all next week. Take care, everybody.